It's time for the waiver wire. Who's been added and dropped? Should they have been added and dropped? Who are the big names? Who are the bad names? Who are the GOATs? The guys ready to ascend to the level of Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and if you look for me, I will look for you under your bed. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok, while it still exists, at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300. Wow, that's the most we've ever done. $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Also, check out LockedOnDaily.com. Newsletters. We've got newsletters aplenty. So many newsletters, there's almost not enough news. No, there is. There's enough news. Every team, LockedOnDaily.com. Bang it over there. Check out the live trade deadline show. I'd like you to bookmark that. We're going to go live 2 hours before the deadline and just, talk about stuff that happens. It is the day today, for me, the 16th of January. It's International Hot and Spicy Food Day. And we're here to look at the waiver wire. Any spicy takes? Okay. I like to do some stuff that's, sidebars. Sidebars, you know about sidebars. We talk stuff that's a little bit different. So let's just talk about hot and spicy food. I just want your comments in the chat, in the YouTube comments. How hot can you go? Have you ever tried any of the sauces from Hot Ones, for example? I've got the bottle of Da Bomb. It's impossible. It's impossible. I can't do it. I can do spicy food. I love spicy food, but the bomb too much. Way too much. What's your spicy food tolerance? Anyway, I'm sure you don't care that much about it. But what we did get, and I was debating whether I'd do this at all in this show or not, or whatever, waiting to do it because we got the schedule adjustments after the fires and the the Texas weather scenario. And there's one game they haven't rescheduled yet for whatever reason. But I'm going to tell you exactly what has happened that impacts fantasy playoffs. I'm not going to do the other stuff. Our schedule grid is updated over at Basketball Monster. But I'll tell you what's changed for the fantasy playoffs and how that impacts you. And while there are a lot of games that have been rescheduled, there's not that much that changes fantasy playoff-wise. The Clippers, despite having a game postponed, actually lose a game in the fantasy playoffs. They've got a lot of games rescheduled, but in the end, the net result is they lose one game. And that week is the week that is the finals, the championship week for my recommended playoff schedule. It is Yahoo Week 20. It is Real Life Week 22. It is the 17th of March to the 23rd of March. They used to have 4 games in that week, and they have 3 games in that week. Should you make any moves or any decisions for fantasy, for trading at this point? No, absolutely not. Don't do anything with it. But they went from 4 to 3 games. The Lakers, there's still one of their games to be added against the Spurs. I don't know when that is going to occur, but at the moment, there is no changes to the Lakers and their playoff schedule. The Charlotte Hornets, they got a bump, and that's great. If you've got a Hornets player, you hope that they're not fully tanking, but in that week, Yahoo Week 20, Real Life Week 22, the championship week of my recommended playoff schedule, the 17th of March to the 23rd of March, the Hornets go from a 3-game team to a 4-game team. It's a nice little bonus. Again, do you do anything fantasy-wise there? Not really, because there is going to be uncertainty. There is going to be a guy's going to be playing in that week. I think they will. There's still 3 regular season weeks to go after that, but that went from 3 to 4. And the Washington Wizards had some changes too. That had some weird changes. In Yahoo Week 19, Real Life Week 21, which is the 10th of March through to the 16th of March, they had a 5-game week, and they do not have a 5-game week anymore. They have a 4-game week. So that 5-game week, and there was 2 teams that had 5-game weeks in the playoffs, them and the Nets. So the Wizards don't have it anymore. So they're 4 games in that week. But then their week in championship week, which is my championship week, it is, I believe, week 1 of Yahoo playoffs. Anyway, it doesn't really matter which week it is in Yahoo playoffs. But it's 17th of March to 23rd of March. That's Yahoo Week 20. They went from 3 to 4. So basically they had 5-3 and it becomes 4-4. And that's the changes. There is a number of other games that got rescheduled, but it's all like January or February, and it doesn't matter for the majority of us. So that's how what changes we had happen. Like we had a game go from the Houston-Atlanta game is rescheduled for the 28th of January. We had a Chicago and Clippers game move from the 21st of January to the 20th of January. There's the Utah Jazz did have a game move from January onto the 19th of March, but then they had a game from the 19th of March move back into February. So net result, nothing. No changes. Portland had a game against the Wizards that moved from the 18th to the 17th, but all still the same week. So overall, the Hornets gain a game in Yahoo Week 20. The Clippers lose a game in Yahoo Week 20. The Wizards lose a game in Yahoo Week 19, and the Wizards gain a game in Yahoo Week 20. So the only actual volume change through fantasy playoffs is that the Clippers lose a game and the Hornets gain a game. That's what happens. And then that Lakers-Spurs one, we've got to wait and see what actually goes on there. So now let's actually talk about waivers. Yeah, let's talk about waivers. And the most added players using Basketball Monsters numbers over the last 48 hours. Number one on that list is Ziaire Williams. Part of that is the Nets having a lot of players out and a back-to-back, and Williams is playing pretty well. I do think that we probably want to roster him at the moment, but I think that team is going to be really confusing and up and down all the way through here as guys are sitting and not playing and then in and then whatever. But Williams is playing well. He will have some very shaky shooting games, but for now, there's good stuff. The second most added player is Lonzo Ball. Now, he won't play today, and it will be very interesting to see the next time Chicago plays because White, Dosunmu, and Lonzo are all going to be there. Lonzo will be back on the bench. Does he play 24 or does he play 20? 24, absolutely enough. 20, not. No problem with having him. Third most added player, Cason Wallace, the Hong Kong mattress. He was great in that game yesterday against the Sixers, again, who didn't have anybody out there. His role and minutes are secure for now. I am not ready to suggest that it's going to be 30 every single night. But AJ Mitchell's absence, I think, will help him. And yeah, I think Wallace probably is an ad. The fourth most added player feels desperation. It's Chris Boucher. Yeah, he's been really good. But there's so much flukiness to that. There's almost never a problem with adding someone, getting ahead of it, adding a one day and saying, we'll see, right? There's almost never a problem with that. And when I talk waiver wire stuff in shows like this or anything, when I'm saying about that, I'm not like saying, definitely don't go and add him because it's not going to work later on, because if I don't think it's going to work later on, that's cool. It doesn't matter for one day. It's more about being very cautious what you're doing. Are you dropping someone that's good to get a random maybe Boucher explosion? Probably not going to be worth it. So that's when I'm talking about that sort of stuff. So do I think Boucher has any shot at rest of season value? Nah, not in a million years. Not at all. But if you want to just try it because he's on a little bit of a hot streak and they're using him and we're getting good scoring, sure. It doesn't matter. Just do it. TJ McConnell, next most added player. We saw what happened in that first game without Halliburton. I don't know how long Halliburton's going to be out. I hope it is a couple of weeks. Just not because I want him out, but because I want to make sure that he doesn't come back too soon and then re-injure himself and screws everything up. So McConnell can go for 18 to 22 minutes. That's enough. That's what he needs. And the next most added player is Peyton Watson. I get part of that is due to the back-to-back. But long-term, I don't see that either. Steals, blocks, streaming, I like Peyton a lot as a player. I think he's going to have at some point, he's not good enough where he's going to have like a 7-year top 80 run in fantasy, but I think we get a 2 to 3 year run of a top 60 player at some point in his career. But for now, that's fine. It's not an overall exciting one. On Yahoo, the 6 most added names that aren't those names that I just talked about. And it's not surprising to see Sterling Henderson at the top of that list because it is very easy to do this. Now, you know me, big Scoot guy. I am a big Scoot guy. I was a big Scoot guy. I like Scoot, and I hate the way that Portland has used him and treated him. I was all about drafting him this year, and it has not worked out at all, right? Because A, I didn't think they'd play him 23 minutes a night, and B, he's been bad. So, and the idea of getting out ahead of it, we're all there for it, right? We love doing that. All right, no problem. Usage point guard is a great guy to take a flyer on. But again, when we talk about all this, there's nuance and there's context and everything about all this stuff. So we talk about Scoot and we look at the game that he had yesterday. And I look at that and go, that's great. I love to see it. But to suggest or to think or to have it in your head that that's it, keys given, Scoot's going to let roll, he's playing 35 a night, he's in charge, is absolutely foolish. Like, it's foolish to think that. I want that to be the case. But there's absolutely nothing that suggests that is the case. It took Jeremy Grant and Denny Avdia being out for it to happen. It took playing against the Nets for it to happen. The 240 game. If Grant and Avdia play, are they playing 20 minutes off the bench, are they? And Scoot's going to start with Kamara at the 4. Is that a likely outcome? No, it's not. So I've got no problem doing it, but I think when you do it, it'll be a case of you doing it, waiting 5 weeks for something else to break through, and Scoot to start. But I absolutely do it. Like, add him, it is totally okay, but understand in your head that this is not the turning over of the situation to him, unless, Avdia's ankle is such a long-term thing. But even then, Scoot doesn't necessarily get to run the show every single game because Simons and Sharp still exist. Love Scoot. Want them to do it. Don't think this is the indication that it's happening. Add, but just, again, understand the expectation. That's what I want. John Isaac, second most added player, 27 minutes last game. Goga Bitadze is out again. That doesn't mean that he will necessarily play big minutes, but their other centers are like who? You get Paolo a little bit at center. That's Wendell Carter, obviously. But add him. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens until his toes fall off or something. Let's go. Steph Castle, the third most added player. That is a chase. A huge chase. Why? Because he scored 21 points last game. Steph Castle has played a lot of minutes this season and has been nowhere near 12-team value. Add him if you want. I don't care to. The next one is Vit Krejci, who has been a top 100 player over the last week. He's getting scoring, he's getting steals, he's getting assists, and the Hawks have Hunter, Trey, Jalen Johnson out. Love the short-term stream for Krejci, and we adjust from there. Isaiah Collier is the next one, and Keontae George might be back, but Colin Sexton is out. We know what Collier is going to be, and again, I think people looked at it and go, yes, it's here, the breakout. Look at that great scoring performance. Your expectation on Collier should be 3 points on 11% shooting, but 7 assists and 2 steals. That should be your expectation, because one game does not now make him a good scorer. The assists every game do make him a good passer. So adding him is okay. And how they run him and Keontae, if there's anything is going to work from this tanktastic, craptacular Jazz scenario over the last couple of years, I think it's going to be Collier and George as the 1 and the 2 together. That's the way that works out. So I want to see them do it in this game. And the next one is Cole Anthony. While Suggsy is out, while Mr. Black is bad, which might be forever, Anthony is worth having. He is worth rostering, but that can turn to crap in a minute. Crap is such a funny word. That can turn terrible immediately. So we're fine with it. We're totally okay with rostering Cole. Understanding that at some point it might not get there. It might not get there. And that is okay. That is okay. We've got more must roster guys and most added players to get to. We will get there. Don't worry. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The first whistle, that starts a game. The final drive, that's it as well. FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. If you bet $5 as a new customer on FanDuel, you can get $300 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. $300 if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate. There's a variety of bets that keep every game exciting. And when you win, you get paid instantly. You don't have to wait around for your winnings. You're betting on your favorite team or just the favorite play that you see. FanDuel has you covered. So visit FanDuel.com and join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That is FanDuel.com. Make the playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Today's episode is also brought to you by a favorite of this show. It is Skims, and Skims is making underwear for men. When I saw that originally, it was about a year or so ago maybe, I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. I know my missus has got some Skims, and I was like, okay, let's see what's going on here. And then I got some, and they're good. They're so comfortable. I love wearing my Skims. And when you are just absolutely got such an important cargo to be carrying around, well, you need good, comfortable, great quality. It looks good. It feels good. its level of security is up there. It's whatever the DEFCON 5 level of security. That's not the right thing, is it? But it doesn't matter because you get the point. We love Skims. They've got the boxer briefs. They've got the different cuts, the different materials, the different sizes. Not only just size in terms of waist, but like length of your underwear as well, whether it is working out, just running around, sitting in a chair, talking into a microphone, whatever it is, Skims is going to get you covered. So shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and at Skims stores. Let them know that we sent you. I doubt there's a Skims store here, but let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. I haven't heard whether you can actually tell that to the people in the Skims store, but maybe you can try it. And if it works, get back to me. Skims Men's. Check it out. Okay, let's look at the next grouping of, waiver wire options. We've looked at the Yahoo most added. Now on Fantrax, which is a 7-day reporting period, number one on that list is Aaron Wiggins. Don't really know why that is. Tyrese Martin and Ziaire Williams and Tosin Ev-Buamwan. We've got 3 Nets guys who are putting up solid numbers. We saw that Martin and Ev-Buamwan, with Johnson and Russell all returning, they're just not enough there. They're names to keep in the back of our minds for when other players are out later on. And Ev-Buamwan had some moments last season with the Pistons as well. But I don't think we need to be holding on to guys like that. Also, Iguodala and Eric Gordon, the next 2 highest added on Fantrax. And honestly, Iguodala, we thought maybe there was a chance he would start. He did not. He is not a particularly high-value fantasy player in terms of his per-minute production. He would need 28 minutes to get into 12-team discussions, and he's not, so you don't worry about that really at all. Let's look at the most dropped players. We'll start with Basketball Monster. Number 1 is Justin Champagnie. Yeah, easy. That's the easiest drop you'll see. He's not playing enough. He plays like 10 minutes. He had a little insanity run earlier on with players out, and that's okay. But also remember, those players that were out, it was George, it was Kispert, it was Bilal for a bit, and they're going to play unless an injury happens. Champagnie, I believe, has 29 games left on his 2-way contract, and Jared Butler has 12. I'm going to double check that because it is important because both of those guys are 2-way guys. Clearly, I just said that. And they've got those limits on their contracts, but if both of them need to be converted, then they need to make some moves in terms of being able to adjust the roster. Now, it'd be easy enough for them to move on from a couple of guys like Anthony Gill, Johnny Davis, Patrick Baldwin. They could trade Valanciunas away. They could trade Kuzma away. So there could be roster spots that open up. Rashawn Holmes they could do something with, I guess, if they really need to. But a lot of these players are there to sort of trade through. So just be aware of those limits. But also, I do think that they have done enough, Champagnie and Butler, to get contracts later on. Butler's one of the most dropped on this list as well because, he played 7 minutes in the last game, so we don't hold on to that clearly. Scottie Pippen's been dropped. Yep, easy drop. Quentin Grimes, that's okay. He was solid enough last game. The Mavs play again today. Kyrie won't play today, so I would have probably held him through for that one. But otherwise, we're good with that. Bub Carrington. Bub's going to have opportunities, but he's had opportunities. He's playing 30 minutes a night. I think in March and April, which is very often a time where rookies just figure stuff out a little bit more, again, the rookie wall, not a thing. You know what happens for rookies? It's actually the inverse of the rookie wall. Rookies get better as the season go on. They don't get worse. But we hear the narrative, the rookie wall. Yeah, one guy. The other 13 guys get better. So Bub will get better, I'm pretty sure, in March and April, but I don't think you need to hold and wait for that. And the other name on that list is exactly the same as the Quentin Grimes scenario. It's Spencer Dinwiddie. I would hold for today. But otherwise, with Kyrie back, it becomes a little bit more probably streamable versus must roster. All right, so let's look at the most dropped guys over on Yahoo. Number 1 there is Goga Bitadze. People have jumped off that pretty quick. He's out again with a concussion. The minutes had been trending down. That's 2 poor games in a row. Now he's out. I get it. I think I would like to hold just to see exactly what goes. This is part of the folly of not having an IL plus spot, is that he's only labeled as out and not injured on Yahoo. So people are just like, I've got to get rid of him. The idea that this IL slot, which Yahoo has butchered IL forever. They never had one. When I started playing fantasy basketball and started doing this show, I believe Yahoo didn't even have, there was no injured reserve slot ever. An insane way to run a game. And then they brought it in with these rules of you got to miss 7 games or projected to miss 7 games before you can be put there. It's insane. And then they brought in IL Plus and they still don't make it default. Crazy way to play. It's a much worse experience. And we all want better experiences. So anyway, that's why people have dropped him. I would like to hold for. I do think he will become a drop, but I also don't have enough information on that yet. The next one is crazier. People drop DeAndre Hunter. He missed last game with foot soreness. He's missing again today. And yeah, we talked about him on the Sal High show the other day, the recap saying that he was 40th and since then he's been 196 because it made sense. He was going to drop off. It was very obvious to me he was going to drop off. He did drop off and now he is hurt. But man, why are we dropping? What's going on? That's quick. Eve Messi. I would have held Eve because Zion is out today and we knew Zion was going to be out today on a back-to-back. But that one is fine. Like that, to me, that is obvious that he is not rosterable in 12-team leagues at the moment. Also, people so quick on the trigger. Why is Derek Lively the second most dropped player? Yeah, I know he got hurt yesterday. That's true. He played 3 minutes. 4 minutes, actually, because we had the joke. I did the 4-minute joke. And I told my partner I did that. She said, "You an idiot. Why would you do that joke? As if you've ever lasted 4 minutes." And then, Lively got dropped. Why? What? Guys, stop it. Stupid. Mason Plumlee's been dropped. That one's easy because the cockroach is done. He continues to start. I wish the Suns would drop him. Can they realize that he's not a good player? He runs hard. He does reverse dunks. That's cool. Get him out of here. And then Aaron Wiggins, one of the most dropped players as well. I just realized that in my rush, you wouldn't have seen this guy edit it out, but the Yahoo most dropped graphic didn't work, so I went to do it. I rushed to get it back up, and then I misspelled dropped. Because, idiot. Let's talk Fantrax most dropped players. Herb Jones, I don't think he plays again this season. Easy drop. Duncan Robinson, yes, easy drop. BJ Boston, yes, easy drop. BJ is still being held in 12-10 leagues, and I get it. There are times when it makes sense that you want BJ on your team, right? That makes sense, but that time is done. In 2025, we're leaving BJ in 2024 for now. Maybe BJ will make a comeback later on in the season, but for now, we don't need it. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, yep, he is fine if you want to have him. He's fine if you're not. He is playing well at the moment, so I don't mind holding him, but if you're dropping him, whatever. Dylan Brooks, that's okay. He'll be most added. He'll be most dropped almost every week. That's what happens. And then Julian Champagny, the Spurs one, who, even with the absence of Jeremy Sohan, has sort of fallen down the pecking order. He can fall down your pecking order onto your waiver wire, leave him there, and don't worry about it. Today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That is over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8x the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November the 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. So now we can go through the other little bits and pieces here of a waiver wire show, the must roster list. Now, what I like to do is look sort of shortish term, 2 weeks, guys that are sitting at under 70% on Yahoo that just probably should be on somebody's roster in a league. So let's just go through the names. Trace Jackson Davis just needs to be on a roster. I don't really need to discuss more about that. Andrew Nembhard. Halliburton's out. Nembhard should be on a roster. I am putting Casey Wallace here. He was really good in the last game. I don't know that it's going to last, but he's here. Bilal Coulibaly. Yeah, he's had some stinkers. But I do think that we're going to get a little bit more of usage and Kuzma hopefully going away later in the season. His roster percentage has dropped enough that I think we can include him here as a guy to roster. And then 2 names that I'm not certain of, but I'm going to put him here just in case. Keontae George returns today. He might stink. But I'm pretty sure the Jazz aren't going to go, all right, Collier's been great, shooting 10% from the field with that an unbelievable 8-second violation, one of the greatest highlights you'll ever see. He's been so good that now you're a 20-minute-a-night backup. Don't think that's going to happen to Keontae, yeah? And I think he's going to have opportunities, plenty of them down the stretch. And he'll have nights where he's dreadful. But I thought he was starting to turn the corner a little bit before his injury. So I would consider him just a must-roster guy. And the other one there that, again, I am not certain of, and you've seen exactly why, Jaime Jaquez Jr. Triple H had that first game with Butler out. after the suspension. That's not true because he played plenty of games without Butler and had been absolutely putrid. And in the first game when Butler got suspended, he went off. And that sticks in all of our heads, doesn't it? I know it sticks in my head. I'm sure it sticks in yours. You go, man, look, Huck is unbelievable without Butler. And every game since then, he's been a little bit worse and a little bit worse and a little bit worse. You go, oh yeah, this is why we don't like him. This is why he hasn't been a must-roster guy, even with Butler out. But I am putting him here. I have no idea what direction the Butler stuff's going to go. The team saying, or Butler saying, oh, come back after the suspension. And then the team saying, yeah, we're actually going to change the suspension and double your fines now. Like, yeah, Jimmy, ultimate team guy, best competitor. What a legend this guy is. He's so good. So good. Salute, General. Yeah, so Huckers, I'll italicize his name there because I don't know how I feel about it 100%, but there is still no James Butler, and we will see where we go, I guess. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to figure that one out, I think. Let's go on to the next groupings. And these are guys that, again, rostered in a high percentage of leagues that just don't need to be. Why are people hanging on to Dennis Schroeder? What more do you need to see? Guys, get that garbage out of here. As with all of the droppable things, when I say droppable, even when I jack guys off, you don't have to drop them. It's just saying that, again, if they are on your roster, unless it's Rui Hachimura, but if they are on your roster, they don't have to be. It's okay if you move on. And sometimes, and I know people would love doing this when someone's been the 140th ranked player for 10 weeks and they have one good game. Oh, I knew it. I should have dropped him, but he had one good game. It's great. What am I doing? Why would you drop him? Well, in that time, you may have missed 4 different streamers that had top 70 runs for 3 weeks. And was that good enough for you? That's the idea. And there is merit to doing that and saying, I'm just going to hold and hold and hold and hold and hold and hold and hold. And you know what that means? It means you have low volume games every week and you probably lose a lot of matchups unless your team's super strong. So I guess we could say it with Schroeder, like at some point he'll have a good game. I'm sure he'll turn it around. He'll be better, but is waiting for it worth it? Usually no. Jabari Smith, out forever. Don't hold him. Was borderline anyway. Aaron Gordon, he's going to be minutes limited for a while, and you can't put him in IL because he's playing. He's just not playing well enough. And like with Schroeder, like with Smith even, if he does get back to full strength Aaron Gordon, does it even matter that much? Is he even good enough to have waded through the garbage? Probably not. I've got Terry Rozier on this list. Yeah, could he be better? Sure. Is he Miami's Dennis Schroeder? Probably. He's getting minutes. He's doing nothing with them. He'll have a game where he has 20 points and 7 assists. And I go, see, I knew it. Remember, he was a top 40 guy in Charlotte. That guy's still there. Just need to get healthy. Yeah, or maybe not. And sometimes you just got to make the hard call. And every one of these decisions is going to depend on every individual circumstance. I am never here to hold your hand. Your hand probably is clammy and yuck anyway. Except for you. You know who you are. There's one of you out there who's got a really nice, smooth hand. It's fun to hold. But I'm not here to hold your hand and tell you, must do this. Because I don't know your team. I don't know your circumstances. I don't know your league. I don't know your standings. I don't know your roster. I don't know your size. I don't know any of that stuff. So I can't hold your hand. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you ideas, theories, ways to view things to decide how you want to approach it. And like with Rozier, it doesn't make sense that he would be a guy that if under all circumstances he is held on to. For some of you, it might make more sense. For others, it won't. If you're sitting at the top of the standings and you don't need to maximize games each week, you go, well, maybe he turns it around, then hold him. But if you're at 8th, playoffs start in 6 weeks, and he's giving you top 200 numbers, well, what's the point? Same with Tyus Jones. Exactly the same thing. Now, you might be absolutely desperate for 5.5 assists from a player every game. And then you know what? Who ticks the box? Tyus. But it has been a clear deprioritization over the last 10 days with the lineup change. He might play 28 minutes, but he might play 26, but he might play 22. He scores 4 points. He might get a steal, maybe. It's not worth looking at him as a, man, this guy cooks. He's unreal. We have to hold. So Tyus Jones, is on the droppable list as well. Let's take a look at some guys who in the last week, are inside the top 100. And normally, and I forgot to do it today, is I put the rank next to the name, but just whatever. It's okay. These guys are all top 100 players. Donovan Clingan. Now, yesterday, I had to record a little bit early, and I didn't catch the last 4 minutes of that Blazers game. And of course, during that time, Clingan left the game, went to the locker room, didn't return. They thought it was a knee problem. Chauncey Billups told us it was an ankle. Is he lying? We will find out. But if Klingon is obviously missing time, then that becomes a lot harder to hold on to him. At some point, Klingon, I'm guessing, will play 25 minutes a night. Also, people seem to think Klingon, and I've seen this in many different areas, oh man, they just need to turn over to him. Give him the keys. He's not that good, right? To me, Klingon is a player that was picked number 7 in the draft, which is a fact. It's not an opinion. In a draft that is bad, that would be like the 15th pick in most other drafts, who is a completely mid center with very limited offensive upside, who is huge, who can block some shots, but overall, he's not a game changer, I don't think. I don't think that's what he is. So the idea, unlike Scoot, where you need to just give him everything to really see him being the future of the franchise, I don't believe that. So that's why he's playing 12 minutes a night all of this time. So I would hold just to see sort of what happens with the injury, but I'm a little bit concerned about what the overall upside is. Keldon Johnson's had a nice run. Don't care that much. But in terms of streaming in for points, he can be useful. But overall, we don't worry about it. Jaden McDaniels, there you go. This is a nice little hot run. Do I care that much? No. Is he streamable? Yeah, that's what he is. It's what he remains. Ben Simmons, he's going to sit today's game because rest back-to-back, but he's been pretty good. He started last game over D'Angelo Russell. I don't know that that's going to be something that continues. It might be, it might not be. Simmons will be a guy that we can look at, we can use, we can roster him, and we can drop him later on. But that Nets team is going to change so much, I think, over these next few weeks. Malik Beasley, yeah, top 100. He needs to be rostered. I don't know why he's been dropped. Yes, last game was not. Actually, I know why. Because he was bad last game, so people dropped him. Actually, you know what? That's not even true. He scored well. He just only played 18 minutes. You should be rostering Malik Beasley. And the last name on that list, top 100 player, is Superman, Kel'el Ware. Loved it. We're a big Kel'el Ware show here. And you will say, no, not Josh. You've told us he's not very good. That's not what I've said. What I've said is Kel'el Ware is very good. And I think he's going to have multiple top 50 fantasy seasons. I think was underdrafted in this terrible draft. But also, the value he can have this season has to be when Bam is not there. That is it. Because he is only playing as a backup center. Now, Bam is out. And he cooked. That's great. So, as long as Bam is out, we roll with Ware. Easy decision. And the numbers are there. And then they've played 0 minutes together. Don't know that that's changing, but as long as Bam is out, where is the guy? Well, he's right there, but lucky him. Kel'el Ware is the guy. Some guys with some injury replacement value. Number 1 there is Gershon Yabusele. It's a little hit or miss with Yabusele in terms of just how he produces when Embiid is out. Some games good, some games bad. Gennaro Gattuso. But, for now, while Embiid is out, you take the chance on it, and then when Embiid returns, you probably don't care. I put Tristan De Silva in there. I don't feel super confident about that, but with the absence of Franz Wagner 2 weeks away, De Silva's got at least some points and threes upside for slightly deeper formats. Noah Clowney I'm putting as an injury play. Mainly I just wanted to slot him in somewhere. We saw it in that Nets game. Yeah, against a terrible opponent, but a lot of the digging and the advanced stuff, and I wish honestly I had a little bit more time to do more of that advanced digging on a lot of players, because I think it paid off. Clowney is the Nets' best prospect. Clowney is super young. Clowney has still got the potential to be a defensive guy, and his shooting has improved unbelievably. And he was great. Will he be great every game? No. But while players are out, Cam Thomas is a big one of those, obviously different positions, but while Johnson's dealing with stuff, while Bojan Bogdanovic does whatever the hell he is doing, Clowney's got this value. I think he's going to maintain close to it. I think he's going to spike later on. Isaiah Collier is an injury play with George out, and now Sexton is out. And when they both play, I don't know what happens to Collier. But for now, again, expect 11% shooting, but you get assists and steals and maybe 4 or 5 rebounds. That's good enough. And the last name there is Nikola Jovic. With the absence of Jimmy Butler, Jovic is doing more in terms of ball handling, running as a point forward, which is the way Butler plays a lot anyway. I don't know what will happen when Butler returns. In fact, there'll be games when Highsmith plays more minutes and then Jovic and does better, and then someone else might come in and trade and further impact Jovic, but I'd much rather have Jovic than Highsmith. In fact, I'd probably rather have Jovic than Jaquez at this point. So I'm putting him as an injury/suspension play there. And then lastly, 6 other names. And you might think, Josh, it's taking you so long to talk about Onyeka Okongwu. Yeah. Okongwu has been rostered in a lot of leagues all season. Well, actually, you know what? I was going to say my takes on Okongwu, but you don't. Because, well, that's not true. Some of you do. And I thank you guys for knowing that. Because some people seem to think that I've got this opinion of him that he's this awesome, unbelievable center that just needs to get these minutes. And I've been telling you for years and years and years that he's going to be the starter, which is just not true. What I've told you is that if he becomes the starter, I think there is tremendous fantasy upside there, but the Hawks won't do it. Now, this season, I was wrong. I thought they would do it. But they didn't. They split the minutes down the middle. And what I have said with Okongwu all season, he falls into this zone where he's like, I don't think you have to hold him. But if you do have him, it's totally okay. And if you want to have him on the wire, it's okay. Because I don't see a scenario where he's playing 27 a night every night. He had, like, I can look at my little, my table here of the rolling 2-week rankings. And it's like 190th, 180th, 204th, 190, 195, all the way through. And then we get some streaks that become, pretty solid, where it gets to 115th and 118th and 135th and 170th and 180th and 219th. And like, he hasn't really produced anything. I'm just looking through all of these rolling 2-week ranks for Okongwu to see if there was any period here where he's actually had a 2-week ranking inside the top 100. There we go. 99th over the last, 85th over the last 2 weeks. Today was the first time that he popped inside the top 100 for the season. So you've held for 12 weeks, and now he's in the top 100 because he had a 20-20 game against the Suns. It's fine to roster him. I think he's a good player. I think he is better than Capella, but I don't think he's a game changer. If you want to have him, you have him. But also, this is a guy that's been like 170th for weeks. And that doesn't necessitate a must roster spot. I'll put Kyle Filipowski on here because I do think that there will be a period this season, probably like Valentine's Day, honestly, where Filipowski comes out and he's 29 minutes a night and he's like the 110th best player, which is useful. I'll put Buddy Hield there because people are still like looking at the minutes of Hield and adding him in. Pajemski's out, Kuminga's out, Green was out, but to me, Hield is a 3-point streamer, Tim Hardaway style, worse than Malik Beasley. Not someone that I care about that much. I've got 2 Grizzlies there, Zach Edey and Santi Aldama. They are not producing 12-10 value. They could. The one that I actually prefer out of those 2 is Edey, because you know why? He's got a starting spot. That can easily push to 27 minutes. Aldama, as Jaren Jackson's backup, probably can't. But also think they're in that spot much like Okongwu. If you want to hold them and deal with what garbage they're giving you now, fine. If you think it's going to turn around, that's okay. But if you needed to drop them, also fine. I think you'll be all right. And the last name on that list is Christian Brown. Also, if you want to hold on to Brown because you fully believe in him, go for it. You're a better person than I am. I don't believe in him. I think that what he is doing now is actually makes more sense for the sort of player that he is. And as Gordon's minutes ramp up, it's going to be him that loses and not Westbrook. So I have no problem with dropping Christian Brown. He will have a game where he has 18 points on 4 shots, 80% shooting with 2 steals and 2 blocks, and it will look stupid that you dropped him. But then he'll have a run of games of 6 and 3 with 1 steal and 4 shot attempts as well. And it won't be good. So I think he is okay to drop. And that is time for you to drop the show. But don't drop it completely. What I want you to do is to come in and give us the old thumb. I want you to come here on Hot and Spicy Day and give me your spiciest take down in the comments below, whether it's spicy food or spicy basketball stuff. Drop it down there. Of course, you can give the thumb, you can comment, you can double bang, and you can also just do a nice thing. Do a nice thing. I can be a person who is cutting. I can be a person who is rude. I can be a person who is aggressive to people, but only if that's the energy that I get back. I try to be nice to people as best I can. I try to lift up people and promote people and encourage people, and I'm still working on being better at that, right? And I think it's a better way to feel. Rotting inside is not a good way to go, especially when you look rotten on the outside like I do. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.